toenails and blistered heels, salt stains streaking down my face. Sun is beating, muscles scream, but I'm moving at my pace. Run the riot! Leave the world behind! Run the riot! You free your body and your
All right, today on the Run the Riot podcast, we got my buddy Chris Lyle. Chris, what's going on, man?
Hey, David. Good to see you. I'm really excited about this. Thanks again.
Yeah, man. So for those of you listening, he's got the coolest background. He's at a cabin in Maryland, man, and it's a cool looking cabin. What you doing in Maryland, dude?
So cool. Well, I was intending to share the JFK 50 with one of my best running buddies that actually got me into running about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he had he had someone pass away in his family, so he wasn't able to make the trip.
Gotcha.
However, though, he had booked this cabin, and so I wanted to go ahead and come run the race.
Nice.
We've been trying to get a race together. We did one probably 6 or 7 years ago. And then ever since then, trying to get another race together, and just doesn't seem to pan out. So,
Oh, man.
anyway, well, we'll keep trying. We're still young, so we'll keep trying.
Still young. There you go. Young is a relative term, brother.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, so for those of you listening, today it's a Thursday where we're recording, and then so JFK it's Saturday.
Saturday.
All right. So by the time this comes out, everybody will be able to check out your results and see how well you did.
Hopefully, yes, sir. Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite races. So
Nice.
It's definitely worth traveling out here to do it for sure.
Nice. Well, Chris, I always like to when I start a podcast, I always like to talk about like how we got to know each other, and so you and I, we got to visit a lot at Arkansas Traveler. You were crewing in Payson, and I was crewing, and we really got to visit. And
Yeah.
So there's some of the things that came out in our chat. I want us to talk about in a bit, but our first, I guess, when you kind of were on my radar was when I ran Love It. And, Cliff was coaching me, Cliff Pittman, and we were looking at the competition, and there was this guy named Chris Lyle who was up there, and it's like, all right, he's a good runner. He's a solid runner. And so like you were on my radar then. And so that's kind of how I got to know who you were a little bit, and saw your race stats and everything else, and that you were just a solid runner. And so that was my first exposure to you, man. And so from then on, like, we kind of seen each other at races and different things or whatever. But you started off as you were the competition. But I love telling people that because it's a healthy thing. It's like a healthy competition,
Absolutely. Well, and cool that, I think of you as someone who I wonder if he would talk to me. I wonder, I want to meet David, but I'm kind of nervous.
Oh, that's weird.
So no, it's so cool. That's what's one of the many awesome things about the sport is yes, you see the competition and you see names and you see people in the race results, but then they're people just like we are.
Yeah.
And that's what's so especially cool about you, because I've gotten to see you now a few times at different races, and we share that common bond of wanting to take on this big, seemingly unattainable goal sometimes, and go after that goal. So that's it's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And for Love It. What's cool about meeting people and knowing people like Love It, I had a good day, you had a rough day, but then you've gone back and crushed it, and so it's just I don't know. I love the way the ebb and flow of the sport, and how, like any of us at any time could have a really good day, or just it falls apart and we're just happy to finish. And then, but then we can, I don't know, we use that as fuel to come back stronger.
Yeah. It's taught me so much about life, and about there's usually someone faster and there's usually someone slower. And just, I think for me, one of the first times of having the confidence to not only enter a race, but to show up to the race, and then actually kind of get towards the front, thinking that I might have a chance.
Yeah.
You know, at a 5K or a 10K or a you know a shorter distance possibly, and that's a testament to your training that build that confidence. And you think, I may kind of inch up and see what happens,
Yeah.
this time. And then it's so cool that sometimes it does happen,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes everything does come together. So it's just a tremendous confidence builder.
Yeah, yeah. Well, before we, I want to dive into kind of background a little bit and like where you're from. But one thing I did notice when I was looking through, kind of your bio and stuff is, maybe you told me, but I didn't remember that you're a fellow nerd, man. You're a techie like me.
Well, that may a little bit misleading.
Okay.
I'm actually more on the I do appreciate technology. However, not software side, more of science side. So science,
Okay.
life sciences.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay. Got you. All right. Okay. Cause I'm more on the computer side, the
uh,
infrastructure, network admin
yeah,
and all that fun stuff, IT director. And so, okay. All right. But still, when I say nerd, like I own it and I'm proud of it.
for sure. I'm a nerd through and through, for sure. Absolutely.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, let's start from the beginning, man. Where are you from originally? Are you from Arkansas originally?
Yeah. From Arkansas originally, a little small town, Arkansas, Camden. Born and raised there in Camden. Graduated high school there. Moved to Fayetteville for college. So lived in Fayetteville for probably about 5 years
Okay.
or so. Moved around some, and then landed back in Fayetteville. We live in Cave Springs, a little small town between Rogers and in that whole cluster of little towns, and
Yeah.
close to Rogers. So yeah, so we've been back in Northwest Arkansas for believe 12 to 13 years now.
Yeah. What'd you get your degree in?
Animal science is what I initially thought about. A lot of different things.
Yeah.
Tried a lot of different ideas.
Yeah.
But vet school was one of those possibilities. Did not end up pursuing that, but ended up working in basically like a medical research lab, and learned techniques in that field. And then pursued. I was a speech therapist for several years. But then when we moved back to Northwest Arkansas, had an opportunity to sort of go back to science. And so I've been now with a small company I work for going on 14 years. And so what we do, we manufacture products that are used in vaccine development. That's one of the main things that I do.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You travel for work a little bit, or yeah.
So this trip to the Northeast, I have a customer visit tomorrow. So I'll usually try to piggyback a customer visit to a lot of our customers are in the Northeast, vaccine companies, big pharma companies. So I'll come visit those companies at least once a year. We do go to a few conferences around. We've actually traveled overseas for a couple of those now. Yeah, a lot of the field vaccine in general, of course, spans the globe. So a lot of the conferences and things that I go to, thankfully, are in other parts of the world, which has been fun to visit.
Yeah. Nice. Well, you might as well this trip, you might as well piggyback and run a race.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know this has become, I've probably DC's been the city I visited the most, and it's probably become my favorite place to visit. It's almost becoming like I know where to go. I know kind of how to get around. I know where to go to get the rental car
Nice.
and that type of thing. So it's kind of neat to when I have never really had a job that really had required travel to now sort of get a little bit used to it,
Nice.
which is it's fun. Breaks it
Yeah.
up.
I've been to DC. I think just once, maybe once or twice, and I don't know how to get to anywhere. I just I got to look it up on the phone and get there.
I love it. It feels easy to get around. Obviously, there can be when there's things going on, which I've run into various things going on in DC at the time that create a lot of congestion. But for the most part, it's just really easy to get around. There's
Yeah.
so many cool things to see and do. A fantastic place to run. I always try to go, to the mall and run
Nice.
whenever I'm in town. So yeah, I love this place. It's a great place to run for sure.
Nice. Well, so yeah, so what I love about where you live, man, there is no lack of trails. I mean, it's just a ton of trails around there. The running community is huge down there. There are races like crazy down there. So like you've moved to a really good place to be a runner.
It's yeah, I have to realize I have a first love of the West and the Rocky, the big mountains, but I have to pinch myself, every time I go for a trail run. I have a trail about a half a mile from my office,
Yeah.
so it's a very compelling reason to go to work.
Yeah.
Besides, I do get a lot of joy out of my work, but it's also really nice to just head down around the block and hit a trail, and I can get a 10-mile loop with, a couple thousand feet of gain, which is not too bad for a weekly run. So I think that's really been transformative with trail running and racing, is
Yeah.
having that access.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it at the time when it started, but yeah, when it started, it's like, man, this is, and I never get tired of it. I think I have the kind of brain that it doesn't really get tired of it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can do the same loop in, washing machine. I have enough terrain. I can vary it up quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, for me, I almost have to have that because some of the only good trails we have are like Turkey Mountain and stuff. So I
Yeah.
just run it in different ways
Yeah.
and different,
Yeah.
just got to keep doing it and stuff. So
Yeah. And it's cool with the seasons, you're always, I still, probably, well, it's probably been at least, it's over 10 years now that I probably have the same picture of the same section of the same few feet of trail, 50 times, because it looks so different throughout each
yeah.
year and each season.
I have a spot on Turkey Mountain that I come up on that that's if I'm going to take a selfie, that's where I'll take it.
Uh-huh.
It's the same
Absolutely.
spot and it's different times of year. It just looks good. And every time I come up on it, it's like, there's my spot. And I usually have about, I don't know, at least 7 or 8 miles under me by the time I get there. And so I'm like, got a nice
Cool?
sweat going. And that's my spot, man. I didn't know it. I didn't think about
That's
other
awesome.
people doing the same kind of thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Those spots, that's our time, that's the time that we get to ourselves,
Yeah.
that we have to carve out, each day. Of course, we have goals and we have races and things that we're shooting for, but every day though, we got to carve out that time,
Mm-hmm.
and that's our special spot. And
Yeah.
and it's so cool to have that. I'm so lucky to have that.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
That's
so
great.
yeah, so you got a great place to run, and one of the things that I like about our sport is you have all different kinds of people that are running it, and you got people who are like tech professionals and just all these in different levels of education, socioeconomic, everything, but we all come together, we get on the trail and we visit, we talk. And you get to know people, get to know what makes them tick, and you might not agree with everything. I've had political conversations with people on the trail from other countries, and it's been fun. Like
Yeah.
we just talk, and like it doesn't matter. And just I think I was running with somebody from New Zealand, and I was like, how y'all do how y'all do government over there? And they were just explained it to me, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's weird, but cool,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but when you and
Well, I had a
go ahead,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say, I had a really cool, kind of a bittersweet experience recently. I know I'll probably get into a few of the various races. So I went to Grindstone this year because I needed to get my Hard Rock qualifier. Yet I already got a Hard Rock qualifier earlier in the year. But I was already signed up for Grindstone, and it was it was a hard day, it was a rough day. But I made more friends on the Grindstone course than I ever have in any other race. Like that was a transformative experience. And
Really?
even though, yeah, it was really hard, and I unfortunately I didn't finish, but I mean, pretty much from, I mean, it was really early. It was a night start. Not long into the race, I picked up a friend, and then we went for hours.
Yeah.
And then I picked up another friend, and we went for hours. And then finally, I guess going into the second night, yeah, I went with a guy who had actually run Love It in the past.
Nice.
So, you can travel really far and still find somebody you have something in common with. And then you team up, and that's really the first time that's ever happened. So you're absolutely right. It's a really cool way to meet friends. We have this common bond, this thing in common.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. What, tell me about Grindstone. I'm just while you mentioned it,
Yeah.
cause I'm not familiar with it. I mean, I know what it
Yeah.
is, but tell me what was tough about
Yeah.
it.
No switchbacks. They don't have any
It just
switchbacks
goes
in
straight up.
Virginia. There are no switchbacks on the East Coast. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So it was just grinding
Straight up,
straight up. Oh,
straight down, straight
dude.
up, straight down. One of the hardest lollipop loops that I've ever done. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was probably aid stations are really far apart, 10 miles plus,
Okay.
and some of the hardest terrain. And I was hearing stories. I listened to another interview about, I think, a podcast from Grindstone last year, and the runner was describing the rain and the storm that they had and how difficult it was to get around this lollipop. And oh my gosh, I mean, it was dry when I went through, but I could not imagine doing that off camber rock like I've never experienced before.
Yeah.
And I was just thankful to survive that. Then the rain came. I mean, torrential thunderstorm. I mean, it always rains, but
Yeah.
I haven't been in many races like this with that kind of rain
Yeah. Yeah.
and scary lightning and scary thunder. So
Yeah.
it was all I could handle. It was a tough race.
Well, you're a tough runner, and so for you to say that, how far did you end up getting?
I got to 85 at
Man.
26 hours. Yeah, every time you learn a lesson, and as we were talking about before, it's nice to marry work and pleasure.
Yeah.
However, I had customer meetings lined up on Monday, and I was going to have to get out of my Airbnb on Sunday, and then get into work mode. And I just could not process going another 20 miles. I think it's about 105.
Okay, gotcha.
And we got to, I've not been that close to cutoffs, but it started to get close to cutoffs. And
Yeah.
we came through one of the last aid stations before the last aid station before the big climb, the last big climb and the last big descent. And yeah, I was just having a really hard time. The rain had really gotten to my feet in a bad way.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the friend that I had met along the way, we went for hours together, and we were a team, and we were pushing, and we kept each other going. And he just started to get a little bit further, a little
Yeah.
bit further.
Yeah.
We had a long stretch on a gravel road, and we came into the aid station, and I mean, I think I'm really happy that I went through that. I'm happy that I experienced that. I'm
Yeah.
glad that it happened, and I've learned a lot from that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I hope that I can carry that with me and learn from that experience, and
Yeah.
maybe be a little bit better prepared for I've never had feet issues before
Yeah.
like that. And
Huh.
and I think among all the other things, as you well know, that you
Yeah.
process, you've gone a lot further than I have, that you think we're prepared. I thought I was prepared,
Then you
but
find
yeah,
out.
find out pretty quickly. Yeah.
Well, and that's
No,
that's that's the thing from DNFs, man. Because when I've had them, you've got to, because you can let it devastate you and mess with you, and you're like, no, I need to, if you can come away and learn something and grow from it, it makes it worthwhile, and it's, I don't know, let's face it, man. Sometimes we need a little. I'm not saying this for you, but for me, like a humbling, like, okay,
yeah,
this,
absolutely.
like this, any race can punch you in the mouth. I don't care if you've done it before, and you can get to where you're not thinking through things or not planning like you should. Cause I've done this before. I'll go out and do it again. I've done 100 miles and DNF,
Yeah. So yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it's a great learning experience, and I feel like I had a good run, and I'll continue to have a good run, and I all those things. I've listened to a lot of your podcasts, and there's a common theme that we all run into. It could come at 10 miles, it could come at 80 miles, or 99 miles,
Yeah.
but most likely it's going to come sometime, somewhere. That's why I'm hopeful. I love the 50, because 50's no joke, but man, 50 can be really fun, and that's just when it feels like it's getting good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just stop when it's good is what I'm hopeful for this weekend.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's in like 50, like, you get to sleep in your bed that night, and
Yes.
like, oh, I still, and you probably heard this on other podcasts, I still have not run 100K. I have not run
Oh, really?
I've done 50 miles, I've done 50K, I've done 100,
Uh-huh.
but I've never run 100K.
Uh-huh.
And I've talked to people who said they love the 100K because it's more than the 50, but you still get to get home, the
Yeah.
same day, usually. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, 50 mile, yeah, that is kind of a sweet, sweet distance.
I mean, for what we do, and I can't imagine what 200 or 250 would be, but in this, and I'd love to, learn more from you someday. I don't know if that day will ever come, but
I think you got
but
it in you.
to yeah, I know it's different, but gosh, imagining how much it hurts at 90, 90, and then we're just just wanting it to be over, but.
Yeah.
But I think I know why. I mean, I know why it hurts. I know a lot more now than, I did in the early days. So
Yeah.
it's just, I just gotta, you just gotta eat. It's just gotta eat.
Yeah.
Keep eating. And usually everything will be fine if you can just keep eating.
Yeah. It's seriously like you got to train and have your muscles ready and stuff. But most of the problems, not all, but a lot of it's not eating or drinking or electrolyte mix or, just the balance because they all affect everything. And you get
Yeah.
behind on any of it and it's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man. So let's do a big rewind. So you graduated from, college, you're working. And so when did this, if I remember right, you kind of like me, when did this running journey start for you?
Yeah. So it was 2003. I do remember, I had a roommate, the friend I mentioned earlier, who was we were hoping to run this race this weekend together. His name's Brandon. Brandon, and then my roommate Jason. Jason and I were we had a lot of fun. We came up with a lot of crazy ideas, and so Jason's idea was, hey, let's run a marathon. And so I lived in Little Rock at the time, and so let's run a marathon. So I knew Brandon from work, and so we got Brandon in, and Brandon ran cross country, and I think he ran in college. So he is very, very experienced runner. So the three of us got together, and we got together in the morning and started training for that first one. And and I think what I my frame of reference was, I have a brother who started running, and his goal was to run Chicago, probably Boston. And I saw that he had really transformed. It had like transformed his whole body.
Huh.
He became this like incredibly thin, incredibly like he looked like a runner,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that always sticks with me, that vision of seeing him and seeing how much it transformed him. And I thought, well, I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
And so all this was kind of happening around the same time. And so yeah, so we set off to train, and ended up, I was in the middle of either I think engaged and soon to be married during that period. And yeah, a lot of life changes going on, and that was just kind of fell in place. And so yeah, I ended up running that first one, and I think it was 2003 or 2004. I think that the first one was when my I have two daughters. My oldest daughter, my wife was pregnant with our firstborn, so I have the picture of us at the finish. That was the
Nice.
first one, and I was like wearing these ace bandages on my calves and like the headband, and like I was just,
Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was a different time.
Yeah.
And she was pregnant, and then the second year is I carried Taylor, my daughter, across the finish line. So
Nice.
that's kind of how that started. And then I did a few of those for several years, and Little Rock, and maybe I think I did Tulsa at least once.
Okay. The Route 66. I'm doing it Sunday. My wife
Yeah.
and I.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. That's a great race. Yeah, it's a great race. It's very similar. I thought the course was very similar at the time. Flat, had a half flat and had the hilly section.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Gone over the overpasses, or that's the hills.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just kind of consistently, had a marathon on the calendar, but once a year. And I would think that I would, I'm really going to try to train hard this time. And I just learned that I'm really not one that follows a schedule. Or,
Yeah.
I mean, I can have I could spend 5 hours writing out a schedule, and then the next run it's off. So
Okay.
I've learned that
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend, it's probably not a good use of my time to spend trying to map out a very elaborate plan.
Yeah.
Just kind of go with feel. I think I'd listened to another one of your interviews, and you were talking about feel and running on feel versus a schedule. I'm definitely more of a run on feel.
Yeah.
Uh, and kind of depending on what the goal is and what feels right, and I think
Yeah.
it just has over time has built that
Yeah.
that routine.
You
Definitely stuck.
you run like Courtney DeWalter. She just does it on feel and kind of knows. Yeah, you're by now. I need to get a peak week of about this much. I need to build
Hmm.
up. I need to get this many long runs, and you know what your body responds to. I still like a schedule, but I'm a little more intuitive with it, and I know what I can change and not change, and
Yeah,
so. But I still like my schedule.
yeah. I mean, the times I've had, and I experimented with some of this over the last few years of having some coaching help, and I feel that does really help to have that accountability and have that plan. It's kind of one less thing to think about.
Yeah,
So I think a mix is good. A mix of having that accountability and having I get excited about having an assignment.
yeah,
I find that that's fun
yeah,
and challenging too. Knowing that the coach is going to challenge you,
yeah,
to do things that are out of your comfort zone.
yeah. Well, when you know somebody's looking at it, that's when you gotta. Okay, all right,
Yeah.
I gotta do it. It's not just me. Yeah. So you did marathons for a while, and then what was the thing that got you
Yeah.
into on the marathon? How did that happen?
It's so cool. I think as a few things, we had a race here called Outback in the Ozarks, a 200-mile team race.
Okay,
So
okay,
you had the whole kind of van concept where you
yeah,
got six runners in one van and six runners in another van. Um, is there's a few things. So at the same time, my wife and I got into CrossFit, and we were pretty serious there for quite a while.
yeah,
So through the CrossFit gym, I was invited to do Outback in the Ozarks to be on a team. And so that was a really cool experience.
yeah.
So it did one of those. That race is no longer, the race directors moved away, and so that race is no longer
Was it on the roads
around.
in the Ozarks, or was it on
It
trail?
was it was a mixture. Mostly there was a little bit of trail in the Eureka Springs area. I was in one, obviously I was in one of the vans on I think we had a 12-person team. A lot of gravel road, some road, and you just, I guess, this big loop
Yeah,
around from Eureka to Winslow to Fayetteville to Prairie Grove, a big loop around.
nice.
So the thing with those is you don't get to see everything.
Yeah,
It would have been really cool to see the whole course, but you just see what you see in your van. So that was probably something that I think, looking back on it, through that and some of the friends that were made through that experience. One of those friends, I think this was the first thing, was a friend that I made through that race experience. She had ended up having quite a bit in common with my wife Ashley, and so we kind of became friends with this couple, and she was going to run 37 miles on her 37th birthday. And I thought, well, I wanted to join her because we had like shared this Outback in the Ozarks experience, and I wanted to just kind of come out and help and pace or just be a part of it.
yeah,
And she had a lot of other friends that were coming along for the run. And I thought, well, maybe I'm going to go a little further. Then I'll try to do my own kind of thing in the background while
yeah,
she's doing her 37 miler. So I ended up running 30 that day, and it was split up. It
yeah,
wasn't all at one chunk, but
yeah.
I'd run a big chunk, and then we waited until she kind of came around to the next place. And anyway, so that ended up getting about 30 and that day. And then at the end, I felt amazing. Like
Yeah.
it felt really awesome. That was kind of planted the seed that, hey, maybe I could go further. And then there was I've been into riding bikes for a long time, not really seriously, but as a kind of help with the running and help to, kind of just have something different to do.
Yeah.
I do like cycling. And so there was a gravel race that was in Northwest Arkansas at the time, a 100-mile gravel ride. And this was happening in the fall. So that 100-mile gravel ride was coming up. And I kind of debated, like, should I even try something like that?
Yeah.
And so we did the 37-mile run. And then I think it was the next month. And so I just went ahead and signed up. And that was one of the hardest things I'd ever done.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what a gravel race was. I thought you were going to be in this pack, and is it going to be a peloton? You're going to be,
Yeah. Yeah.
we get out of Bentonville about 4 or 5 miles, and I'm all alone. Like I'm dropped. I
No
mean,
man's
just
land.
dropped, and just like 90 miles to go.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be horrible, and it's going to be a long day. And sure enough, it was a long, hard day. I'd just gotten a gravel bike, and I was excited about, well, this whole new like gravel
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Because we lived out in the country at the time, we lived on gravel roads, so this is going to be perfect. And I got that gravel bike, I got it put together and everything, and I got out on it, and I thought, this is horrible. So uncomfortable. Like this is not anything like what I was expecting. But I stuck with it, and I kind of get it. I get that that it's a cool thing. And anyway, that was a hard day.
Mm.
But that really planted the seed, like, hey, you can do something hard.
Yeah.
And that feeling of that just total depletion when it's over
Yeah.
was incredible. And then I guess the back 40 was the first trail race
Nice.
on the back 40 trail.
Yeah.
And so the back 40 at the time, there was a 40-mile run and a 40-mile bike
Okay.
back to back. And they had multiple, they had a 13, a 20, and a 40. And so I thought, well, yeah, I'm going to do both. I'm going to do the run and the ride.
Yeah.
The run went actually really, really well, and unfortunately, I rode my gravel bike on the single track, and that day
Didn't work out well.
second day was a bad day, a second bad day. So I learned my lesson. Don't take the gravel bike on gravel or single track.
Well,
Keep the gravel bike on the nice smooth pavement.
That's
It'll
right.
be really comfortable.
yeah. Well, so when you did that 100 miles on gravel, like when you finished that, like, could you ever imagine that you would be a guy who would run 100 miles? Like at that point in time, like you ever thought that was a possibility for you?
I mean, no clue.
Yeah.
Would never have ever considered that. No,
Yeah.
I probably didn't even know that 100-mile runs existed
Yeah. Yeah.
at that point. Yeah. No,
Isn't
I
it,
had no.
isn't it crazy how, you look back at where you were and how your mind, it just opens up to possibilities. And then you're that guy. Like you're the guy, like, when I was looking back, I was like, man, Chris has run some great races and you've crushed it and you've done great. And I don't know, it's just really cool what happens, like you see other people doing things and you're like, wait, what? I want to do that.
I didn't. Yeah. And now it's weird. Like when I tell stories about races, my coworkers, I like to display my bibs. I do like to have that kind of stuff at work. I don't have it much at home, but I do have it at work. Yeah. So like they think they don't really get it, but they know that it's a thing. And so, yeah, I think at the time, if I'm remembering back, that may have been the first I learned about Western states and started to learn who like Scott Jurek was, and it's about that time period and just all this history and all this other world out there that I had no idea was a thing.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. So anyway, it sounds like you did the back 40, you did the bike, you did, run went well, the ride not so well, but but like you're like, okay, this trail running thing is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I guess I got into, I remember finding the Arkansas Ultra Runners Association online. I thought, what is this? Like, this is a foreign language. Like, this doesn't even, what is ultra running? What is this? Like, I
Yeah.
had really had no idea what it was. And I felt like I have no business. I don't know anything. I'm getting into some other things now, and I kind of feel the same way. Like, I don't really understand the vocabulary. I don't know what any of this stuff is about. I
Yeah.
mean, it's running. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
not that complicated, but I just didn't feel like I had any business looking at the Aura website or any of that stuff.
And you had just you run 40 miles and like, so
Yeah,
you had done an ultra, but like, you're like,
yeah.
I don't know about this.
Yeah, I just didn't know. I didn't know, but I can't really think back to really what was the, when I clicked register the first time, like after back 40, like what caused me to do that. But I did pick Athens Big Fork as the first, like, I guess,
ABF.
trail race of, yeah. And that was obviously, I mean, you've run, if you run,
No, I haven't
you
run it.
run up.
I've talked to a lot
Oh
of people
man.
that have run it,
Yeah.
but it's some, yeah, it's fun.
I mean, that's one. It's become quite difficult to get into, and so that will definitely keep me. I guess Stacy's out if she's listening. If she keeps that, keeps the tie to Aura and keeps that registration. It feels like a privilege to be able to run, that
Yeah.
race. Even though it's great that it's free and I could go down to Mina anytime and run on those trails, but that has become a reunion of
Mm,
all of these friends that I didn't know, all these people I didn't know, a few years
yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
especially this last year. Like, I really felt it. Like, this is so cool. It's
Mm,
the first race of the year,
yeah.
and it's usually the conditions, obviously they can vary widely. It is just there's so much camaraderie, and it's got to be one of the hardest, races out there. So, when you finish that thing, you've really done something
Yeah.
and it's one of the closest trails I think I've come to mimicking what you get out west, where you've
That's
got
the one
these
where
vistas.
you hit
Yeah,
how many mountains is it? You go
I think
across
there's
and back?
eight.
8. Yeah,
Eight.
and it
Yeah.
looks like it's not too switchbacky.
No, I mean it's not straight up and straight down. I mean it's not quite like Grindstone, but
Yeah.
it's definitely rugged.
Yeah.
I think comparing like to Grindstone, it was quite. I think it's more rocky, whereas that trail on the Grindstone course was kind of more dirt and rock, whereas this really feels like you're in the mountains.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's at least to me, it does. It feels like there's one vista that you get to, and it's like this is amazing. And I would imagine the only way you can get there is on your 2 feet. Just
Yeah.
like doing a 14er. So it feels like it's a real privilege to be able to go out there and do that event. So
Yeah.
I will continue to that will keep me in Aura for sure. And
Nice.
keep me running that race as long as I can.
That's cool. Yeah, what you just said was one of the things that I love about ultra running, and we'll get to. I want to talk about our mutual love for the Rockies, the mountains,
Yeah,
Colorado, and all. But
yeah,
I find myself at multiple races being in a spot that you can only get there by foot, and like I realize I'm seeing things that only other people who have been on this trail can see. Very small, and it's beautiful. And like we get now we have these phones, we can take pictures and share it with people. But it's like, man, look what I get to see out here. Like not many people get to see this, and it's just I don't know. It's a good way to experience new areas, new places, and just be in it 100%.
it's become now the reason. It's the reason to keep training. It's the reason to keep doing the 5 milers and the 7 milers and the daily, what we might sometimes think of a grind.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's that keeping us young and keeping us fit enough to be able to go see those places that and I've found that so much of this has changed my outlook, and I've learned so much more about myself and about and I'm continuing to learn. And now I realize that I've got 40 more, hopefully 50 more years to learn more about, myself. And that has become so important, is getting that time and simplifying, life, and unplugging if you can, and taking that time, just like, this trip. It's hard, to completely unplug. Obviously, we have responsibilities, and that's a privilege and an honor to have people that count on us, and we get to use our talents. I'm sure you get a lot of satisfaction from using your talents. You
Yeah.
do your job well,
Mm-hmm.
but I do love also that mixture of doing your job, well, and being a good, supporting your family, but then having that time on these. It could be anything. It could be
Yeah.
riding motorcycles across
Yeah.
the country. It could be
Yeah.
doing there's all kinds of other things, but we happen to land on this one, and these experiences, these vistas, and the scenery that we get to see. I don't know. I don't ever think about, well, I wish I was riding a bike, or I wish I
Yeah.
was, on a ATV or something. Like, I never think about that. I
Yeah.
would rather be on my feet,
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things you just said about unplugging and how hard it is. A few years ago, I did a men's retreat, and they're having another one coming up, and I'm not able to get it my schedule. But one of the things is, when you get there, you leave your phone in your vehicle, and it's what is it, Thursday, Friday, it's a 4-day retreat. And so at first I was like, holy smokes, like what, but there's a number there that if your family
Uh-huh.
can call if they need you. But and then I got to where I was looking forward to it. Like, I was like, okay, I have to, like, this is going to be part of, and oh man, it was so therapeutic. Like, just the phone,
Yeah.
no electronics, just, pen and paper, me and my
Yeah.
Bible. And it was just so
Yeah.
freeing. And so, there've been times when I've gone to Colorado and I've done a race, and then after just camped, and I was like, oh, there's no reception here, like,
Yeah. Too bad.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'd text my wife like, hey, I'm going to be out of pocket for a bit, so I'm good. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it is, it can be a little bit anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do get a bit of anxiety from, and it's not so much that it's feeling of a responsibility, but it's that feeling of silence,
Mm.
feeling of, well, what am I going to do with myself? I'm so busy all the time. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all self-imposed for
Yeah.
the most part, and sometimes I make life a little bit too complicated than it needs to be. But the reason, sometimes I don't know, like, do I really need to do this time? Do I really need to do this, now? And I'm considering, different, the schedule for next year. I've really, the last few months have really been, I guess you could maybe call it soul searching, of why do we keep doing this hard thing?
Yeah.
Why do we keep doing this to ourselves? And I don't have a good answer yet, but I know I'm not finished. I'm not finished with this, and there's some big ones. Obviously, I mean, probably a lot of us want to. You've checked off at least one of them, that we're all sort of keeps us chasing a goal, and keeps us in our sort of a training mode. But I think there's a little bit of fear, like, well, what if I let that go?
Mm.
What would I, then what? Then what would I, if I let Hard Rock go, if I said it's fine, I can live out my days, and not having done that race, but I'm not ready to do that yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not ready to say that. I'm not ready to say I'm done.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think it's good to have that. So you're, I know we're close in age. I just turned 50. How old are you?
I'll be 50. Man, that's weird. August. So
August.
of
Okay.
2025.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
we're right there.
Yeah. It's so
Oh man.
weird.
I know. Yeah. And, but like we talked about, we're still in there, still doing the thing. And I shared with you, I've been having trouble with my knee. And so I've asked the question quite a bit, like, what if I can't? In fact, last time I really, when I just started on the trampoline, I didn't know if I was going to be able to run again. And I've had some good years since that. And then now it's giving me trouble, and I'm still in there. I'm about to do the treadmill 100 in December. Yeah. Again, that's stupid. But anyway, I want a 100 miler this year. I haven't done one this year
Yeah.
because of the knee. And so
Yeah.
I'm going to do that one. But I like I think I'm like, okay, if I had to stop because of something like that, I would just shift. I like lifting. I'm like you. I like to go to the gym. I like to lift. And so I would just try to be the strongest 50-year-old at the gym, whatever.
Yeah.
And I would shift, but I would miss.
Yeah.
I would still want to be able to, like, as long as I could still hike, as long as I could still get out there and experience it in a different way, I'd have to be able to do that. But anyway, I still like the fact that, 50 years old, we're half a century there or right there. And hey, we're still out there running 100 miles and more and
Heck yes.
getting it done.
And we'll continue. And you know how resilient and how strong, you've become with the work that you put in.
Yeah.
And you'll be, well, you're gonna have another opportunity. It sounds like coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you just
Exactly.
keep going.
Well, and you said something earlier about finding out who you are. And I think because our lives are we can live easy lives. I know we work, I know we have families, we have struggles, but we don't have like physical struggles. We're not trying to kill food. We're not trying to build houses by hand. And so, I don't know, this is a way we're putting ourselves in situations where we can test our mettle. But by doing that, when we do encounter things at work with our family, we realize, you know what? I'm a pretty tough dude. If I can run 100 miles, if I can go climb a mountain, I can deal with this, and it gives us a sense of
Absolutely.
a confidence and resilience in life. And I like those reminders. And I think it's David Goggins who talked about recertifying I got to recertify, I ran 100 miles last year, but I got to do it this year. So it's just a reminder that hey, we still got it.
I like to keep the cookie jar full.
There you go.
Because yeah, we're gonna have those challenges, and we draw on those cookies
Mm-hmm.
when times get hard. I'm not always very good at it, but I know that we put the cookies in the
Mm-hmm.
cookie jar, and we've done some hard things that put those other things in perspective.
Yeah.
That if I can get through it, and it's almost like it's not even a conscious decision. It almost makes it's just a given. There's no really questioning it. Just like, sometimes things don't work out. I get it, but for the most part, we push through. For the most
Mm-hmm.
part, we find a way,
Yeah.
whatever way that is. Even if it's just getting to the next aid station,
Yeah. Yeah.
you find a way. We're not gonna we're not gonna sit. We can sit here, but we're eventually going to get up and we're going to keep going. And that in itself, learning that other people and what effect that can have on other people. If we've, committed to other people, or we actually have people at the races that are crewing for us or that are waiting to pace and wait. Like, no, yeah, no, I can't. Like, you can't not.
Yeah.
You got to get up and go to the next aid station. You got to get up and go to work, even though you may not want to go at all, or you may not want to tackle this project that you're having, or a conflict or something that you're dealing with. None of that, is fun. Just like, the pain and some of the things that we feel are not necessarily fun, but we do it, we endure it, and we learn a lot from it, and we realize, well, I could do that.
Yeah.
And so it keeps coming back, and we keep learning new things from those experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know, my goal, I want to be able to, I don't know, 60, 70, maybe even 80, just keep doing the thing, but be slow as all get out, but still out there doing the thing, man.
Well, I set the goal. I want to go until I'm 90. I did set that. I haven't set many long-term goals, but I was out on a training run one morning, and I thought I could do this another 40 years.
Nice.
And so, yeah, like, well, I've gone 40, not, I haven't been running since I was a baby, but, I've made it 40 years, close to 50 years. I could do this another 40 years, just to have some sort of goal out there, or some sort of perspective, rather than just kind of taking it as it comes. I mean, it is nice to have some sort of outlook because there's going to be a time when hopefully we'll get to retire and we get to move on to another phase. And I think I'm starting to think about that more than
Same.
now it's starting to flip, right? We're starting to think about, well, what is on the other side of this life period?
I tell you what, right now I'm thinking I should have bought a bunch of Bitcoin.
Uh-huh.
Because
Absolutely.
Bitcoin is way up there. I think if I'd have bought it years ago, I could retire right now. But anyway,
I know. If we could have only known those things, right?
that's right. That's right. Oh man. Well, going back, so I have your ultra sign up right here, and so am I right? Was your first 100 miler Arkansas Traveler?
Absolutely. Yes,
All
sir.
right, all right. Well, that's fitting because that's Arkansas's like
Yeah.
oldest and one of the oldest 100 milers in the country. Um,
Yeah.
you got it in you. What was it that made you sign up for Traveler? I guess you started drinking the Kool-Aid too much.
Well, so there's probably a lot of David Goggins that we could talk about, but one of those quips or one of his things, I guess, that he was famous for was I'll keep it clean, but stop asking so many questions, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
just go do it.
yeah,
Yeah, obviously we want to ask some questions about what it's like to take on a 100 miler, but it just came down to, I don't know anyone that does, I don't know how to do this, so I'm just going to sign up. And so, yeah, and it ended up being such a cool experience, and one that, I mean, I'll never forget, but it's also been really cool to share that first 100 with some of my other friends
mm,
in the past few years. And I think, yes, mine and getting the buckle and all that is really cool. Obviously, I mean, it's a great honor and achievement for anyone to complete an event like that, but also to be on the other side and to help someone else is
yeah,
just like even so much better.
yeah,
To get to see someone else get to experience that. So I've gotten to be on both sides of that, and
yeah.
that's so cool.
That's something I thought about bringing up too. Because we talked about making friends running the race, and people that you're gonna talk to for a while and meet at other places, but also this last time when we were both crewing and pacing, you get to meet families and sit down and
Yeah,
talk with people and other runners who were helping at the time, and you and I got to visit for hours while we were waiting at
yeah,
that aid station.
yeah,
And no, and yeah, I definitely like being on both sides of it, and it helps me respect my wife a little more for all the times that she's crewed me for sure.
absolutely. Yeah, I think in the first few years, I definitely felt like I got to do this solo, and I do enjoy that
Yeah, me too.
when that does happen, but I've definitely not let that, not necessarily living by that as much anymore. Like if it works out that, yeah, I will go do an event solo, that's great, and I do like that, but I also do very much enjoy being a part of other people's, someone else's race, or having someone be a part of my race, and
Yeah,
that's another, I mean, all these things that we learn that we didn't know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's cool. So, is this right? That was your first 100 miler in 2019? Was that your
sounds
first
about
traveler?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds about
So,
right.
because you've done a lot, like a lot of big races, a lot of 100 milers and stuff, and so you just started into the 100 miles in 29. That's not a long time to do all the things that I see on your on your list, man. So, like, kudos for that. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Well, you're very kind. You just jump in and
Yeah.
go after it.
Yeah.
Uh, I think one of the definitely out back in the Ozarks and that experience, and back 40 and the gravel race. Another thing that kind of got me going was through a friend at our CrossFit gym. I met some guys. These were fast guys. These were like 240 marathoners
Wow.
that I hooked up with at the gym. Guys, these guys were fit.
Yeah.
But I got in on a couple of training runs, and one of them was going to run a marathon a month. And he had, I mean, he is a very talented CrossFitter, but I don't think he had a whole lot of like just a lot of running volume background. And so I got to thinking, well, he's going to run a marathon a month. I want to run an ultra a month
Nice.
or a trail race or something like that. And
Yeah.
so, technically, was it an ultra every month? It was a trail race and or ultra every month. I guess that would have probably been 2019
Yeah.
when that got started. So that kind of set the pace of what this is like. And I really like looking back on it. I feel like that's probably what built the maybe the resilience and transform your body. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
super fast by any means, but I could recover pretty well. I
Yeah.
could come
Yeah.
back and I don't really think about I shouldn't do this. I've never really thought that too much. Like, oh, well, I just did this. I shouldn't do anything. If there's something on the calendar, it's compelling.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. What's crazy is you start to realize, like I remember when I ran Boston in 2015, I think it's 2015. Anyway, I ran Boston, and then less than a week later, I came and ran the Oklahoma City Marathon, and I did faster at the Oklahoma City Marathon. And like I was running, and there were people on the side like cheering the runners on, and they had their Boston jackets on, and I was like, I was just there. They were like, why are you here? I was like, I'm running, just having fun, just doing the things. And, you realize that I can run a like in training, I ran back, like for Tahoe, I ran back to back 50 milers 2 weekends in a row. And I was like, was it hard? Yeah. But did it kill me? No, I did pretty good, So it's like the body is amazing, and you start realizing your potential by trying hard things.
Yeah. It is absolutely amazing. Yeah, that you can come back.
Yeah.
You get and the more you do it, I feel like the more, I think when I start to not do that is when I start to see a decline or see more of these. And I mean, is any of this sustainable for years and years and years at this, pace or at this level of volume with all the other things that, we both have going on in life? I don't know. Maybe it is, but I think it's gotten away from the quantity and so much volume of racing and mileage, and now it's the adventures and it's a ticket to going out to Hard Rock, and going and watching and volunteering and getting this just getting to see a course marker on the Hard Rock course that's just like that is so cool to me to go out on the course and see one of the markers.
I'm
that is amazing.
fanboying a marker.
Yes. Yeah, like this is the thing. Like this is the place.
Yeah.
This is and that's what all this has been for. And if that ever happens, I'm sure there will be the next thing. Like all that was for something else. I didn't know. I really didn't. I mean, I knew there were 14ers, obviously, but I never thought about climbing one.
Yeah.
I never thought about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I lived out there for a year when I was younger, and I never thought of climbing a mountain. I thought about snowboarding down a mountain, but I never thought about climbing one.
Yeah.
And it just didn't occur to me that that would even be something I could do.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, now I want to climb them all. You know?
Same.
Yeah. But I wouldn't have known that. I don't think if I wouldn't have had this experience of being what it's like to be on the trail and have the confidence and the preparation to go out on a day and do a training run in the mountains.
Yeah.
And I've not been in I've not really pushed the limits too much as far as risk. And I think I've been really fortunate the times I have gotten to go and do training runs that the weather's been great. I don't really have to worry about that. I'm sure, if I do it enough, that will happen.
Yeah.
But this is the buildup. This is what what all those years are leading towards is the next, like, keep, either it's not, yeah. I mean, sure, I would like to do all the 14ers for sure, and all the 13ers, and like to see it, but it's more about when you get up there and you think, oh my gosh, I got here with my own 2 feet.
Yeah.
And I may have run into some challenges along the way. It's really hard. It's way harder than I thought. was ever, I didn't know.
Yeah.
You just don't know what it's until you go try it.
Yeah. My first 14er was, I went and did a 50-mile training race for training. And then I camped out and I was like, this would be good training. I'm going to go climb Elbert. And then I didn't even climb. I climbed the hard side because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And luckily, like you said, I didn't get weather or whatever because I didn't know. I just went do the thing, and I got up there and I was like, I did it. And then I came back down and I was like, somebody's like, oh, and then you start realizing like, okay, I probably could have done it a little smarter, but I just did it,
Yeah. And you lived.
I lived. It was cool as heck. And I learned what marmots were because I was like, what are these creatures? Yeah. It's awesome.
So and can't wait for the next one.
Exactly.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, exactly. And the same thing, like you and I talked about our love for the mountains out there. And that would be, my wife and I, our dream is, to retire out there and just go hike mountains and stuff, man. One of the guys that does the finances for our school, he works remotely, and every summer they have a camper and they just go park it out there. He was out at all summer, and he's just, he doesn't run, but he just hikes. And dude, that's all he does is just hike out. That's I see him light up when we start talking about it. And I was like, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I understand.
Speaking the same language.
Yeah. He's living my dream. He's living your dream, It's pretty cool.
Well, and each year I feel like now I'm kind of chipping away at it, maybe a little bit at a time. It's a big rock to chip away at, but we're chipping away and learning a little bit more and making a little bit more progress towards something. I don't know exactly what I mean, we talked, you've had land.
Yeah.
Right. So you've learned a lot about what it takes to do that. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, that's on the long range plan, just to be out there and just be able to, I don't know, have mountains in my backyard. That's yeah. Oh man. Well, I want to get back real quick to Traveler. The first time you did Traveler, so you had done these other races and stuff. How was Traveler, for anybody listening that hasn't done it, it's a great race, well supported. Aid stations are amazing. Sometimes it's hot. Sometimes it's not. It can, both times I ran it, it was hot.
Yeah.
But what was your experience running it? Like, how was, what did you learn about yourself doing that first 100-mile race?
I mean, it's just hard to imagine getting to, I didn't know any of the aid stations, I didn't know any of the landmarks. I didn't know anything about the course, or I'd not done any training runs really. I think I did the OT50. That was another year. I mean, I do have memories of being, hot in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I was really fortunate that I had done another one of the races, I think a week or two before, and some of the guys and girls were talking about Traveler was coming up, and they were talking about the aid stations and talking about and I didn't know anything about it. I was kind of embarrassed. Like, I don't know anything about what you're talking about.
I'm just running.
Scared.
I'm just running.
Kind of scared because you guys seem like you really know a lot about it, and I don't know anything. And one of the guys that I met at that race, he just happened to be at the power line aid station when I came through, and I think that it was bad enough where James Reeves was working the aid station, and he was I think he told me later that he was considering pulling me coming through the first time.
Wow.
So I think I'm not a hot weather. Yeah. I'm a cold weather all the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was definitely difficult. However, I did get to continue. And then Micah, this friend that I'd made, is waiting at Powerline, or he was at Powerline, and he was running with someone else pacing. And we had kind of met at this other race a few weeks before, and just kind of casually chatted. And then he recognized me when I came through the first time, and was like, "You're running this?" And I was like, "Yeah, running it." And he was pacing a friend. Well, sure enough, and he says, "Well, I'll pay." They were going to the turnaround and back. he said, well, I'll pace you if you want. And
Yeah.
I didn't know, like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Company, let's
So
go. Yeah. Yeah.
sure enough, I got to the turnaround and got back to Powerline, and he was there waiting. And thank goodness for Micah, because I don't know what would have happened if it weren't for him.
Yeah.
But he kept us on pace, and we got a sub 24 that first time, and
Yeah.
that was like over the moon. You know, you come up that hill and everything just waterworks, and you just like the whole world, you know, that you've just gone through in 24 hours just
Yeah.
kind of comes, you know, at you all at once, and you hear the music.
Yeah.
I love trying to, you know, I would love to have more media out there. I'm not a media guy, but
Yeah.
I would love to have more media, especially Love It. I don't know if anything's out there yet, of to speak of anymore about Love It, but I did find a video or two about Traveler, enough to know about the music.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, that was the thing, like hearing that music.
Yeah.
Oh man, I could not wait to hear the music.
It was,
So
yeah. Yeah.
that was cool.
That's so awesome. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like yeah, Love It. And now Love It's changed now. They're doing the Saturday start instead of the Friday start. So that's that's good. And changing the direction that you go. So I don't know. I might have to get healthy and go give it a shot the new way.
Absolutely, David. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do
it.
But yeah, so yeah, when you hear that music and then and depending on when you finish, there's the lights on the side of the on the both sides of the road there, and I don't know, that last hill though, oof, that's a booger.
Well, we got a second win coming out. I do remember that, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
I have a really hard time running downhill most of the time.
Yeah.
Late, well, not necessarily late in the race, but that's definitely something, one of my weaknesses of many. But running downhill at the end is always so tough.
Yeah.
So you know, you have that big downhill. It was just out there this past. Well, yeah, we it's when we saw each other. Been out there a couple times. I ran Traveler this past year, or not, maybe in 2023, and paced this year.
Yeah.
Anyway, have been out on the course a few more times. It's definitely different. Is it Crossroads to Sylvia, where you're like, you finally got off the trail and you're finally on the gravel road, and just wanting to be able to run, but you can't.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sad. Like, that's one thing I wish that I could work on, you know, so I could actually run that last, you know, those last few miles.
Yeah.
But, you know, we did get a second win coming back when we got on the road. We did get a second wind and was able to run at least some of that hill. So
Nice. That's good.
Yeah, there's, you know, it's funny how you have certain images, you have certain memories.
Mm-hmm.
I remember bits and pieces.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because you're so tired, delirious, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
that was your first too, right?
No.
Or was it Pumpkin Holler?
No, my first 100 miler was
Louisiana.
Was Cajun Coyote in Louisiana. Yeah. Yep. And then I went to do that one again and tore a calf muscle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then I did a Rouge Orleans from Baton Rouge to New Orleans. So that's one.
Oh, wow.
My first dip into kind of ultra was I did a relay. It's 126.2 miles. We did a 3-man relay on it, and that was kind of my first dip into kind of ultra distances. I don't call it my first ultra, but anyway, that doing Rouge Orleans in a van with, you know, some other stinky guys.
Yeah. That's a whole different experience.
Yeah, that was so fun. Cool. Yeah, it was
fun.
It was cool. But man, so like, and since then I'm looking, and you've done a, you know, how many hundreds do you have total? Do you remember offhand? I didn't count them.
12 finished.
Nice.
Not counting that. I've got one backyard where we went over 100.
But
yeah, 100-mile races. Grindstone was a lucky 13. So I'll have to go back. Maybe I can just cross off 13 and just go directly to 14.
That's right. Yeah.
Just skip that.
Yeah.
Skip that 4.
So how did you like the backyard format? Because I still haven't done that. So how was that for you, man? You know, for somebody who you have a distance and you do your distance, or if you run a time race, you have a time and you do your time. How did you prepare, and how was it for you to do the backyard? Because you just don't know.
I loved them at the time. I mean, I felt really serious about them. I wanted to go to bigs, and I
Yeah.
wanted to do that because I thought that, well, if I can't do these really difficult trail, I could finish them, but not, necessarily be as competitive as I'd like to be. Well, sure. I mean, the backyard's the perfect way to do that because all you have to do is just keep running. You just keep
Mm.
running until you're the last one. And so trying to go into those with the idea that, well, there's only one outcome
Yeah.
acceptable.
Yeah.
And so the first I didn't make it to 100. Actually, Wesley Hunt, who we were talking about before, won. I believe it was that first Cotter Arkansas backyard ultra. Yeah, making it to that next morning was just a yes. We do that in the 100 milers,
Yeah.
on the trail, but like getting to the next day when you've been running all day and all night, and you're all in the same place.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool thing for sure.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, them. I think Gabe and Wes, I think were the last two.
How far did
And
Wes get on there? I don't remember.
I think they did. I think he went 112 that year.
Okay. Okay. So how was it like mentally though? Like it's like doing it and running it. Like what was difficult? Like why did you end up stopping? What stopped you?
I think the fear of not being able to make it back when the pace drops. That Cotter, the one in Cotter, our local backyard.
Hmm.
Format's changed now, but the format, you have a tiny little up, like you go underneath the Cotter Bridge. I think it's railroad track, and so there's this tiny little up and a tiny little down, and then it's flat out and back for the 2 mile. And so you have these landmarks along the way,
Yeah.
even though it's like a rail to trail kind of landscape. You have like the pipe, and you have the green box, and you have these things that you can key off of,
Yeah.
and that can help you to think, okay, well, I'll make it to the green box, I'm good, because now all I have to do is turn around and go back. Those things definitely wear on you, but it's a whole thing, because during the day everybody is talking, and you're making a lot of friends, and the miles can really go by fast.
Yeah.
And I think those are definitely times when I felt like when you get to 50, like you feel like $1,000,000. Like
Yeah.
50 feels like amazing. And then the wheels can just really come off.
Yeah.
But a really cool experience was my second daughter, Grayson, crewed me for two of those. I believe it was two, and she was probably 12, 13 or 14. And so it was a kind of a safe environment where she could come and be in the aid. We set up our aid station, our camp. And the first year, I think the first year is when, yeah, the first year we ended up tying for third. We went 112, so that was 27 hours. So Grayson was with me for 27 hours, and I
Nice.
think she was probably 14 at the time. So that, I mean, that trumps
Yeah.
all of everything else, because I mean, that's a memory. I mean, those are things that was something I'll never, forget. That was a
It was a
really
team
cool.
effort. Team effort. She got to be a part of it.
That was really cool. And she's such a great crew chief, such a
Yeah.
cool thing to share with your daughter. So that year we ended up tying for third. And then the next year, I think I dropped it 70 or 80 something. And she was way more upset than I was.
That's
She had all of her stuff. Like, she was ready to go through the night and then the next day. And I think I pulled the plug at some time, before the 24 hours. Obviously, I think we may have gone 79 or something that
yeah.
last time. And yeah, I think it's just, it all kind of, I think, comes back to calories and eating. And
Mm.
even though we try to stay ahead of it all, and I don't know, since then, I mean, I've had some bounce back where, it's happened a couple of times now, being at mile 60, 65, 70, thinking that the race is over. And then all of a sudden, you're just like resurgent
Yeah.
and that didn't happen. Those times at those
You were waiting
backyards,
for it. Like, please happen because this sucks.
please happen. And I feel like that's the perfect environment to set yourself up for that success, because you can have all of your stuff and you get
Yeah.
you get to see your camp every 40 to 45 to 50 minutes.
Yeah.
So there's really no reason why we shouldn't be able to stay fueled.
Yeah.
But, that happens. So
Well, if I remember right, that one kind of ends up being pretty warm time of the year. It's not a, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's a
yeah,
factor,
definitely.
when it's hot, especially Arkansas heat, it's, it's harder to eat when you're dealing with heat,
Yeah. That's exactly, that needs to be a bumper sticker for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make
It's
a
a steamy
ultra shirt.
jungle.
Yeah.
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 You're running by the river, the white river, and it's a steamy jungle kind of
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah. So you're fighting hydration, you're fighting, trying to eat, and it's just hard to do. And you don't think you need it until you realize you need it. And when you get behind, it's hard to
Yeah.
catch back up. Did you, with the backyard, one of the things that strategies, like, because when I talk to other people who aren't runners about it, like how it's intriguing, and they said, well, I said, your strategy, you're running with these other people. You don't know how they're doing. You don't know when they're going to drop. You don't know if they're faking feeling good. You don't know if they're faking feeling bad. But also, like, do you run it really fast and have a break to sit down? Do you run it slow and shorten your break? If you need the bathroom, you need to run it faster so you got time in the porta potty.
Yeah.
There's so many factors that you can try to figure out how to
Yeah.
game it and how to work it properly.
I think I can imagine the type of strategy I think that Wesley had when he won that first year. And we all were just, he was so dialed. He was so dialed. He was so, and I don't know that I have that. I don't know that I have that level of, maybe maybe I've had it at times, but
Yeah.
I don't think I have that to that extent,
Yeah.
that I can really execute in the way that, because, and the reason I say that, I think, is this last year that I gave it a shot, I just kind of gave up on winning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to run the laps as fast as I could.
Yeah.
I turned it into a training run
Gotcha.
rather than I'm gonna. And I mean, yeah, I guess that's a kind of a cop out to say, oh, well, I'm giving up on it. But I thought, well, if I can't do anything else, I'm gonna run these 4 miles as fast as I can, and I'm gonna make it more of a sort of a threshold workout,
Yeah.
and then see how far I can go,
Yeah.
because it was kind of fun to do
Yeah.
it that way.
Yeah.
Is that the right way to do it? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
One of the other, I think the one of the years that went 154, the gentleman who I think was the assist, yeah, he was running incredibly fast.
Yeah.
I mean, he would finish at least run an 8-minute pace, if not faster.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we were all just like blown away, like, how is he doing this?
And he's still moving. Yeah.
And I want to say it may have been one of his first backyards that he had.
Wow.
They went deep into the second day.
Hey, do you find, you just said, like, you talked about like really planning, dialing things in. So I think back to when, like, I ran my first 100 miler when I did the Cajun Coyote, and I had every half an hour, on the half an hour, I would eat a half a Cliff Bar. The next half an hour, I would take a gel. And I was really like that, like really regimented with how I did it. And I'm not like that anymore. Like, I know what I need to eat, but I kind of, like with like you said, with training, I'm a little more intuitive. I know I need to get so many calories in. So I have a general plan, but
Yeah.
I'm not like, forcing myself to do a beep, eat. Maybe I need to. Maybe I need to get back to that. I'll run faster. I don't know.
Yeah. One of the back 40s, I think I did. I've done the back 40 race at least once or twice more. And yeah, there was a training season or training block. I don't really think of them much as. I mean, yes, they do kind of think of maybe a 3 weeks on, 1 week off at times during the year. But I definitely don't stick to that
Yeah.
routinely. But I did get into a few weeks there of really trying to count the calories. And on that one particular race, I think I did actually hit my target. And it paid off. I mean, it definitely worked.
Yeah.
But maybe that's, um, I can do that up to 40 or 50, but after I think I learned like once I hit that first aid station, I started eating a peanut butter jelly sandwich, like all my calorie counts go out the window.
Yeah, I just eat. I just eat. Yeah. Nice. Well, with all the racing that you've done so far, and like what has been your, I don't know, what has been your favorite race? Like, I guess maybe your favorite race to run, and then maybe your performance that you're most proud of. It might be the same one, but what do you?
Yeah. Well,
What is
I
it?
have to say performance would be love it.
Mm.
Getting run with Speed Goat, and not
Yeah.
run with Speed Goat, but run at least in the same
Chase
race with
Speed
Speed
Goat.
Goat.
Yeah.
Chase Speed Goat. Yeah, I mean that will probably be the number one. There was a lot of things happening at that point in time. That was a very inspired race.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law had passed
Mm.
not too long before that race, and that was just, yeah, that was. I don't really remember what happened,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
was cool.
Well, yeah, well, second place, but second place to Speed Goat is like, pretty amazing. And what I'm trying to remember. I'm scrolling right here, but I don't see it. What was your time?
21:11 that year.
Nice. And for those listening, if you don't know, Love, it's a tough course. It's a hard course, and so anything under 24 hours is great. So that was a good time. That was a great time.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I guess the year before, one of the years, a gentleman from France came over and he ran 21:01, and I ended up getting third that year. To Micah, the same person who paced me to finish Traveler, ended up coming second in that Love It
Yeah.
race that year. So that may have been course record at the time, the 21:01. I do know Daniel Arnold was on course record pace, I think the previous year, and got caught in the storm and was not able to finish, not able to have the race finished. I think he got caught at one of the what would have become a river crossing rather than a creek crossing.
Yeah.
And there was something about he was not able to continue on the same. He had to be remember all the details about how that worked out, but it definitely impacted his shot at the course record. And then obviously Carl came and broke the course record and or set the course record. So that's definitely compelling. This year will be interesting doing that in reverse.
Hmm.
I would be, I feel like I'm ready to retire, but I'm not ready to retire quite yet. I
Yeah.
want to go back and then, having the morning start will be, I always love the night start for sure.
Yeah.
But
It was different. Like, cause you got to figure out how to rest your, beforehand, but I really didn't rest beforehand. So I remember falling asleep over the night and I was like, this is not good, and, especially across Bear Mountain, I was falling asleep. That was the first time I decided to stay awake. What I would do was just sprint really fast. It worked.
I don't know how you do that, but
Yeah, I did it and it worked. Luckily I didn't fall on my face and break something.
yeah, no, that's a great event, and I definitely want to keep, running it as long as I can.
Yeah.
That one was one of the ones I think that felt impossible from what I would hear people talk about Love It in the early days before I knew what it was.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of become one of my favorite,
Yeah.
my favorite things. I'd say High Lonesome is probably one of the best races that
Yeah.
we have that race we shared experience of that race. So that High Lonesome is just I mean I volunteered at Hard Rock, and it's just it's a whole different thing.
Those mountains, man.
Yeah.
I mean, High Lonesome, so I only got 50K in it before my knee decided it was done. But man, beautiful course. I mean,
Yeah.
tough course, man. I mean,
Yeah.
kudos for grinding that one out, man. Especially for us who aren't, we're not used to the altitude, and you get some climbing in, but nothing like that. Some of those climbs, man, going into the, forgot the name of it, the aid station at 50K, up and down, and then you got to leave it going up, and it was horrendous. It was hard.
Yeah. It's a great word to describe it.
Yes.
Yeah, horrendous.
Yeah. So, but dude, like, seriously, kudos for getting that. You didn't have crew for that? Did you have crew for that one? Crew and pacer?
Well, I was very fortunate. Matthew Myers had run. He's a local friend and trail runner. Matthew had been out, ran High Lonesome the year before, and happened to be out in Buena Vista volunteering in vacation, and so he was there at the race, and he was ready to go at Hancock, I believe. So
Nice.
I was taking a lot of time in that aid station. I think it's around the halfway point, and Matthew, I happened to see him just as I was leaving, getting ready to leave, not sure that I should be leaving, I guess at that point, like, am I really ready to do this?
Is this dangerous?
Yes. So at that point, you put on all the gear. Like they say, bring the pants. Okay, I put the pants on. I put all my stuff on, and all that gear and all in it. And so anyway, I saw, just happened to see him, happened to walk by him as we were leaving, as I was getting ready to leave, and he said, "Are you?" It was really great to see him, and it's one of those things where you want to do it alone, you want to try to do this thing on your own power, but then like, gosh, yes, please help me,
Be my friend.
please be my friend,
Yes.
Please help me. And so sure enough, yeah, he took me through the night, through that really hard. Well, yeah, we went all the way through the night. So that incredibly hard section where, I think it was on one of your interviews where you're talking about where you can see the stars, but they're the headlamp. Like it's hard to tell the difference between the headlamps and the stars.
Yeah.
Because it's so far away. But yeah, just it was incredibly difficult to get through the night.
But you got it done. It's hard to describe, especially like mountain races like that. Like when I did Silver Heels, before Silver Heels, you probably heard before, I'd never done, all my 100 milers were sub 24, and that one was 32, over 32 hours. It's just the mountains, man. They're just rough.
Yeah.
I can't breathe.
Yeah. You just, and if that would have been a night start, oh my gosh, I don't know. Going through a second night, yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Having to start a second night is well, I'm sure you've done that.
Yeah, for the 200 milers though, but you're kind of, I don't know, it's a different, and I'm telling you this because I want you to do a 200 miler because I think you do great at it. So like you go into it with a different mindset. It's kind of like the backyard thing, I guess, because I haven't done that, but you go into it like you don't have to go as fast. You don't have to go as hard. You're taking more time at aid stations to really eat real food and stuff. And so it's just a different mindset, and you do a lot more power hiking. And so I don't know, but you still, you're still on the course for days at a time, but you can plan in a little bit of sleep and stuff. And I don't know. I think you get a kick out of it, especially like a mountain one, like Ultraverse Supplements has the Summit 200 in Colorado.
I think did we talk about that one?
I don't know if we did or not. We might have, but like a friend of mine ran it it wasn't long after he was at Lovett because he was acclimating, and he went and did it, and it was tough, but he got it done. Anyway, I think it'd be, it's not, and it's hard on you, but it's not pounding hard, anyway, different mindset. So think about it.
Maybe someday.
So
yeah.
So
sure.
I know your goal rate. I normally I like to ask, like what race, like if you could do it like next year, this is your race, you can get in. I'm guessing that would be Hard Rock.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. What is it about Hard Rock? Is it those mountains in particular, or just the
my best friend lives out in the San Juans area. We've been out to visit him a few times, and I think it was going to Silverton, seeing the Rock in person.
Yeah.
And I think that just did it. I mean, that's, I think, as simple as it was, just seeing the Rock. I think that's it.
Yeah. Well, you know what it represents. You see it and you're like, the challenge of that course. I mean, it's a difficult course, and that rock represents the finish. You've done it.
It'd be like the Holy Grail, like this
Yeah.
thing that you're after. You wanna kiss the rock,
Yeah.
and it's just so mystical in a way. Like
Yeah.
it's great marketing,
Yeah, that's good. So, like, just think if somebody who doesn't know, like, overhears this conversation, somebody who has no idea what ultra running is,
Yeah.
like, I want to run it, I want to kiss the rock.
Kiss the rock.
Yeah, but I mean,
Absolutely.
I understand 100%, man. And it's all that you know, like you know that it would be hard. Like you got in, it would be like excitement, but then oh crap.
Oh crap.
Yeah, it's like when I got into Western States, I was like, yeah, crap.
Yeah.
I gotta get ready, you know.
And you hope that and maybe that's the whole idea, is that you've put these years into it. I mean, you got in pretty early,
Yeah.
which is super cool. And I know you had, how many races had you done before Western?
Let's see, that was 20. I did Western in 2019, so I had been doing 100-miler since 2013. So I had a few under my belt. I had at least, I don't even have to go back and count, but I had some 100-milers under my belt. So yeah. So it was.
So you kind of know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had watched it enough to know, and I already had the DVD of Unbreakable.
Unbreakable,
I still got it, man. It's fun to watch, and so I kind of knew, but still, like, I mean, a Flatlander, man, and those I was scared of those just getting out in the canyons and all that, man. But that's like we rise to the occasion and we figure it out and we get out there and do it, and so yeah. So I hope you get in, man. I'd love to see you get out there, get in, and just.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll keep trying. I'll keep volunteering as much as I can, and so I've my so I'm holding out until the lottery, because my wife's birthday is always on the same weekend, and
Yeah.
so we're both I won't say the number, but we're both approaching a milestone this year, so I'll cross that bridge.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens on the 7th with the lottery. So I don't have that many tickets. I'm sure the chances are 1 in a trillion that I get in, but yeah, we'll see.
You never know. You never know. Oh man.
That's definitely the one. And I want to go out and volunteer and just be a part of it, as much as I can.
Yeah.
It's just it's the first time I think I ever saw, cameras following runners.
That's
the whole thing.
That's getting to be a thing, man, with Cocodona and all the Aravaipa races and their drones, and it's getting fun to sit back instead of watching dots. We're watching people.
Yeah, they're live streaming this weekend. Yeah, the
JFK
live streaming. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So every time I JFK, I think of crud. What's his name? What's the finish? The finish with oh man, I'm having a brain for it.
Zach Miller.
Zach Miller, man. I always think about that, and I send that to people who like about ultra running and stuff. I was like, hey, watch this. This will light you up. So. Are you gonna finish like that Saturday?
Oh man, I can only hope that I have something left in the tank. Yeah, to finish like that for sure.
Yeah, that's inspiring, man. That dude, he's a beast. Yeah.
Well, and we talk so much about. We want to spend as much time as we can on the trail, and in the last 8 miles are on these rolling, the rolling roads. So it is nice to have that break. I tend to, I know probably folks want to stay on the single track, but it's hard though. That to me though is really tough to do. And Grindstone was a lot. I mean, the majority was single track. It was really pretty single track, and it was probably not quite. Definitely, it's straight up, straight down.
Yeah.
But the trail sections, the flat sections, other than there obviously some very tough sections, but a lot of it was very runnable and very enjoyable, to run through the wood.
Yeah.
But definitely, I think getting to those, when you get those gravel road sections, if you can have gas in the tank to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
That's where we can make up a whole lot of time. And and anymore, is it really about the time? I guess it's still something that we pay attention to, and obviously I'd like to get it at that point, get it over.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's get this thing over with.
Yeah, yeah. Part of our conversation at Traveler, and I shared with you, like when I went back to Moab, I was very, and I guess this is part of me getting older. First time I was really, I was competitive. Like I wanted to beat Goggins, you know, like that was my hashtag. But going back, I was like, no, I want to experience it. I really want to be in the present. And I was able to see a lot more and experience a lot more. And I still had I was conscious, like you said, conscious of time. You know, I got to get this done. I have to get it done in a time. I don't want to do a terrible time. I want to push, but I don't know. It was a kind of different experience. And so I kind of like it. And so I feel a shift. I still want to compete a little bit. I still want to push, but I want to experience it. I want to experience the trail. I want to experience the nature, just embrace it and be a part of it. And it's kind of fun.
Yeah, and let it come. Even though
Yeah.
it's easy to say that and a lot harder to actually do that, I find.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I try to have some type of, I really haven't thought about it too much yet about this weekend, but some type of, I don't want to say mantra because I don't, it's not a mantra. I don't use it in that way. I don't really, I don't do that really, but I do think about a particular race, and I want to be patient, or I want to be calm,
Yeah.
or I want to be strong, or
Yeah.
so kind of a theme that I kind of take in depending on what's going on in life, and what's going, or gratitude, just the opportunity to go travel and take time off work and go to the ability to get to the location and figure out how to do all the stuff that it takes, because it's a lot of this, especially when you're going out of state and doing these things, and if you're going alone, it's I don't really know how it's going to turn out, but I know it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I know we'll do it. The
Yeah.
nice thing about getting dropped off like the JFK this weekend, we'll have to get point to point, so we'll have to get a bus back to the car at the start.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's another thing I think about as well. Well, how am I going to get, if I did want to stop doing this, it's not that easy,
Yeah. Yeah.
But the only way I can get out of this is to to keep like going to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
And then if you get to the next one, go to the next one. So that does kind of play into it of,
Yeah.
well, I got myself into this, I got to get myself out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like people hiking into the Grand Canyon. You get in unless you want to pay for a helicopter. You got to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And that definitely is it's don't always think about it going into it, but then sometimes that shows up when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But there's so many great, I mean, there's so many great events, and gosh, I mean, there's so many options, so many things to do, and
Yeah.
so there's a lot of lessons out there still yet to be learned.
Yeah. Well, Chris, man, it's been fantastic getting to visit with you, and I don't know, just two guys who are at kind of the same season, I guess, in our running. But man, I appreciate you, and I appreciate just you're respected in our in the sport, and you're a strong runner, you're a good guy, and so man, just I don't know, keep it up, man. Let's just keep doing this thing as long as our bodies will keep up and our wives let us do it.
Absolutely. Same, David, I think the world of you. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you and share a little bit about, story. And sometimes you don't feel like, we don't really, we're just kind of doing our thing. And I think I think I definitely want to inspire, but I'm not real one to put much out, there in the public. So I do appreciate the opportunity to talk with you and share stories about all of our experiences, that we've had, and really cool to get to know you better. And
Same.
I look forward to seeing you at the next one. Good luck with with.
Yeah, man. Well, have fun at JFK, and then when you get into Hard Rock and go do that thing, we're gonna do this again.
We'll do it. We'll do it again. Well, I got to keep my tickets in there, so I'll keep my tickets in there as long as I can. The thing about hard rock, you gotta go to some pretty extreme places. You can't just
Yeah.
you can't get a qualifier done locally. You
Gotta keep doing
that's an
the big
adventure.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
That's an adventure to keep your name in the hat. So thankfully though, it's a 2-year cycles. Because I think if I had to plan one of these things every year,
Be rough.
that'd be pretty tough. Thankfully, there's some really good ones, out there that
Yeah.
you can still get into.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, keep it up, brother.
Well, David, thank you so much, and
Yeah.
it's a pleasure to talk with you. And thanks for taking the time.
Yeah. Same here, man. Thanks for taking your time out there, and I hope you get to enjoy the cabin.
I will.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. See
We'll
you, brother.
talk to you soon.